I got one last question before everybody else can ask you guys individual questions here. This one goes to Donald Hunt. Rumor has it that Bill Borgo asked you to run for mayor to split the vote between Mike and Jamie so he could get back in. Is that true or not?
That's a flat out lie. I have had 2 conversations with Mr. Borgo. One was when I was working for the village. He said I was doing a good job mowing lawns. Another happened a few months ago to ask if I was coming back to mow lawns. Told him no, I wouldn't be. The person that has been spreading those rumors, what can you say about that individual? Tell him you don't want his sign up in your yard and he'll bully and intimidate you into doing it. That's the type of person that spreads rumors like that. They're not true, and it's sad that that's what it's resorted to.
Okay. This one's, I got one last question to Bill. Bill. Rumor has it rumor has it that you had a fundraiser. If you're so well on bringing business in this town, why are you having your fundraiser in New Lenox?
The better question is, why isn't he here to explain himself to everybody? That's what I'd like to know. Where's the mayor at? He's the mayor. Right. We're taxpayers. We should listen to what he...
It's an absent mayor, guys. So
that's the coward he is.
Okay, let's go to the people now.
I have one question I want to just get out, and one only question. You keep holding on to this experience thing and saying that, that none of these, people that are not experienced, that they can't do well. And I disagree because I believe that people that are not experienced in things but have knowledge, the best knowledgeable people become the most experienced. And people who, come out as knowing nothing can end up being the best at what they do. You know what I mean?
That's because they get the experience while they're on the job.
But you get experience as you go. And then in order to get somewhere, you have to do something. You have to start somewhere in order to get experience.
That's correct.
You see what I'm saying?
And I started on the planning commission. I worked on it 6 years.
But that doesn't mean it doesn't mean that you can't start off as mayor just because you have no experience. I totally disagree with that.
Jumping right into mayor.
Yeah, that's a big
jump. That makes
jump.
no sense. That's like you're running for the presidency.
Look, let me answer this. Okay, I can answer this question. I started off in the park board for 6 years. I learned the finances because I was treasurer. And I started programs on the park board, so I learned how government works. I was on the planning commission for 6 years, the last 2 as chairman. I learned procedures and how the village works. Then I went on to become mayor. I didn't just jump right in with both feet. And right now with this economy, we need somebody that has experience, that knows how the government works and how things work in Springfield, so we can get, there's still money you can have down there. I know how to lobby Springfield, I learned that. But you have to know what you're doing in order to get rid of the administrators we need to get rid of. You have to be able to tell them no. You have to be able to know what the lawyers and the engineers are talking to you, and that takes experience right now. When I came in as my first 6 years, I had no administrator. I did it myself. So I have that experience on running the government, and yeah, I did learn. But I also had a lot of people, the board members that were there at the time helped me. But I did it.
Okay.
But I did have a good economy at the time. There was hardly anybody in town. It's 1,500 people. It's not like it is now, where we have to worry about people losing their houses.
Okay, next question.
Hi, my name is Neil Weir. I live on Blackthorn and Foxford. I have a 2-part question. The first one's real easy, and it's for everybody. The Citizen Advisory Board, which I already know Mike's answer, so he doesn't have to answer that one. How do you 2 feel about it? And the second question, and really the biggest issue in this whole campaign, in this election for me, is around the building of businesses, right? We all know that our property taxes are high. We all know that they're high because we have no commercial and real, retail infrastructure. Manhattan, in my opinion, has 2 big challenges to building out retail. One is POPs, density, right? We're a low population town. 52 is not a commuter path. That's why you won't get McDonald's. Dunkin' Donuts is unlikely, all that kind of stuff, because we're a bedroom community. Some trucks go through it and get pulled over, but overall they don't go through it. So that's a big challenge with this town. The second challenge with this town, and I grew up small town out in Sycamore, Illinois. The second aspect of this town, and again, this is my opinion, is we do not have a very attractive town center. One of the things a lot of other small villages and towns have, some of them naturally just because of the way they built out, going back to the 1800s, but how they developed, they have very quaint downtowns. We don't have that downtown where it is now. Doubt there's probably any way to really get it there. What I'd like to hear is from building businesses, because the most important thing for me, I mean, it's all great, we want lower taxes, we want more businesses. I'm more interested in the how and the plan. I'm talking longer than the 2 minutes you're going to have.
No, I was about ready to cut you off.
Yeah, I saw it coming.
No, just kidding.
So,
You got 2 minutes.
All right, so basically within that,
Go ahead, Mike. Jamie had the last one.
That's a long question, but
maybe
as
you're
far as
answering quickly.
what you already know about the Citizen Advisory Council, I'd like to bring in, it's already in the village code, it's already ready, it just has to be implemented, it's really easy. Right? If I were to be elected, it'd be instantaneously find 7 members of the community, spread out, and the plan would be, in order to get business here, I think we need to not focus on building a new downtown area by the metro station. I think we need to get the people together, figure out what businesses we want and how to go about getting them, work together, and see if we can give an incentive to get a business here, an auto parts store, things that we could use that would last. After that, you give an incentive to them. You also can't forget about the businesses that have been here for 30 years. We have to really focus on how are we going to keep them going and keep them here when the growth does come. We can do that by taking some of the sales tax that we make, giving them certain funding for beautifying the outside of their establishment, beautify the downtown area before we bypass it and go right to a new one again, because it'll just be disastrous if we keep building and developing and focusing on new things. So it's very difficult, but this is why it's so important to bring citizens involved to see what we want, because it is such a new community and so many people have just moved here. We need to focus on what do we really want, and there needs to be transparency in government so we know what's going on. No one knows what's going on all the time. There's nothing but rumors in town, so if we can focus on closing that gap, business friendly, citizens involved, I think just from that it'll be such a better town, just from that.
Okay.
Can I hear from the other two? That was for all 3. I want to hear from the other 2.
I believe there needs to be a citizen advisory board, absolutely. I know Mrs. Kirby has brought up in the past of getting a community together to audit the books, excuse me, to look into everything, and she was scoffed at by the current administration. No, dismissed. That needs to happen right off the bat. I look at it like this. If you don't audit the books, it makes every single person on that board look crooked. The town, the center streets of town, if you look back through old pictures and everything, it was beautiful, solid brick buildings, everything. Now you drive through it and it looks like somebody tried to move Naperville down south. There's no reason we can't re-beautify some of those buildings and open up some of the vacant shops, get people here. Can we get McDonald's right now? You know, there's 100 rumors I've heard. Dunkin' Donuts was coming in, and then now it's just an empty strip mall. But there's people out there. There's people that want to open businesses, an auto parts store. You know, they want to come into town. They just have no incentive to do it. They know that in order to come into town, you have to deal with certain individuals that are just impossible to deal with.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Okay, first of all, I did have a citizens committee when I was mayor, but I believe first and foremost, the biggest citizens committee is the trustees that you elect to work with the mayor, because they're the ones that are making the decisions and they need to work with the mayor. Even if you're against people on different issues, you have to give all the information to every trustee, even if you think he's voting no against what you want, because they will come in and tell you if you're wrong or if you're right. You can sit down and say, okay, this is why I think we should do it. He'll tell you why he thinks he should do it. Maybe both of you are wrong, but part of what you want is right for both, you know, mix it and match it. Maybe you just can't come to agreement and he goes and votes no at the meeting. That's his job. It's not to have a slate that says yes, yes, yes to everything you want to do. Second of all, TIF districts. We've looked into that. Other towns have had TIF districts. Well, the state is looking at possibly outlawing TIF districts because all the other taxing bodies lose their money. So the next thing you want to look at is a business district. It's a little different. But all the businesses have to agree to go into that district. It gives them an equal playing field, and you can use that money to beautify the business and beautify the downtown. Yes, we have to get active with all the businesses in town. I totally agree with that. I was active with them before. I was on the chamber before, Chamber Board of Commerce. I was on the chamber when we established Irish Fest. Why Irish Fest? Because if you want to have a festival, you go classes, on these classes they say you have to have alcohol. That's the only thing that makes a festival work. But you have to control it. And Irish Fest was always a controlled thing. But they started to destroy Irish Fest by putting so many conditions on them and costing them so much money that it was going to destroy them, because they give so much to the community. And the businesses make a lot of money off of them when they're in town. And it helps our sales tax.
So just to clarify your answer, would your focus on retail improvement be on the downtown area?
Yes, it would. It'd be on the empty buildings in the downtown area.
Okay, Mrs. Kirby with her donuts, it's so good.
Well over the last year and a half, I have gone to every board meeting except for 2. And I told the absent Mayor Borgo that I was going because I was tired. As a business owner, there's so many rules, so many regulations, and they tax us to death, okay? For what? I haven't quite figured that out. And I don't even know if everybody in this room knows what the tax is for. 1% of your taxes that you pay automatically goes to Manhattan. But Manhattan added another 1% when they took off your sticker tax. You know that little sticker that you used to get for your vehicle that cost you $10, or it cost $1 for the seniors? Well, that tax probably is like $200 or $300 now that you're paying out of your same salary that you had 10 years ago. They don't have any stickers to make, blah, blah, blah. So now we're up to 8%. 8%. Then when they started the taxes, when they said they were going to lower our taxes, it was .25 or something like that. They ended up lowering my taxes $250. But when I added up my ComEd bill, my light bill, your ComEd, your electric, what do you call it? Gas bill, it cost me $900. So you tell me they saved me money? They did. It cost me $650 more last year. So since then, I've been going to the meetings, and I will say something. These trustees don't have a chance with this mayor. And the reason I say that, I have watched every meeting where these trustees don't know half the things that are going on. There's 3 or 4 people that know what are going on, and they do the voting. And they know before anything is even listed what the trustees don't know. They give the trustees just what they want them to have. And they've already had their little meetings before. So my complaint for everybody is, I want to see Manhattan get beautified. I took in papers, I took down pictures, I went to LaGrange Park. I brought all this in when I was told it was a circus. We can fix this town to make it look beautiful again. There's no reason that we can't have more businesses in this town. There's more businesses in this town 23 years ago when I came. And I didn't have the hassles that we have now. So I'm tired of it, and I think that most people are. And as far as anything else, I started this business when I was 34, and everybody said I shouldn't be doing it. You know what? You do a lot, and I think the difference, and I'm not saying this against Jamie by no means, but I have sat and I have watched Mike in every meeting for the last year and a half. At least he's willing to come. At least he's gone to Historical Society meetings, he's gone to everything. The thing that bothers me about Manhattan is when you try to get in, when you try to help Manhattan, they kick you out. They won't let you in. They wouldn't let Mike in. I saw the mayor's face when the mayor asked him what you were running for. And when he said mayor, I dropped my mouth. I didn't know he was running for mayor. I talked to Mike a couple times at the meetings. But all I'm saying is this town doesn't let you in. They don't let you in unless you have to beat down the door. I had all those suggestions, how to beautify Manhattan, how to get other businesses. They didn't want to hear it.
Yeah, but let me clarify that.
They
It's
didn't.
not all of them.
But what I'm saying
It's
to
not
you,
us.
I'm saying, all the trustees, I sit and I watch every single day. Take some of Kraus Cable's viewing of that, of their thing. Out of curiosity, just watch it. Watch some of their body language, how they lie. You can watch the same group. These poor trustees, half of them don't even know all the information. And that's the truth. It's been over a year and a half I've gone to every meeting. These trustees, they get what they're told. They get this little package. They say, okay, now vote on it. And they always want them to vote tonight.
Is that true, Dave and John in the back? You guys are currently trustee on the board right now?
Can I answer?
Absolutely. Please do, John, please. As trustees here in the house, let's get some answers.
I'll answer it too.
Yeah, there's times we don't get all the proper information right away, and there's times where they want us to vote right on something right away.
Yeah.
Tonight.
So that's true.
It's 99.9% true that this current administration keeps half of the board in the dark. And they give us packets and they tell us this, this, and this, and we have to vote on certain things, and that's why you look at my record and see how many times I vote no, because I don't have the answers on a lot of this stuff. I go ask the questions. Watch the tape. John, Jamie, we ask all the questions on that board, period. There's only 3 of us asking the questions. The reason is because the other ones got in their little coffee clutch, and I've heard residents say they've met at the mayor's house, which is an illegal meeting, and they've sat down and hashed out what they want to do. It's disgusting, ladies and gentlemen. We need to be out there, as you said, transparent. We need to be transparent, and this administration is not transparent. And I know you're all here for the mayors, but I'm going to say one thing is you better watch your trustee races, because they are almost or more important than whoever's up there as the mayor. No offense, guys, but the trustees, if they get in as a block, will control everything. And those trustees can either shut this thing down or pick it up. Right now, they've had a board that's been split, and we have one guy that breaks ties all the time, and we all know who that is. So these trustees that are on the slates, you know how the signs are. Everyone knows how it's lining up. I'm not ashamed to say I've worked with Mayor Doyle. I worked with both administrations, okay? I've been on the board for 12 years.
And doing a fine job, too.
For the first year and a half would work with me. As soon as it started looking like I was going to fight them on budget, and started out with the new Lennox land agreement, which I don't want to take the time away from these guys, but
Okay.
there's a lot of things.
I just want to make sure that was...
Yes, it is almost completely true.
The only last thing I will say
Go ahead.
is the last 2 meetings, everybody's been walking on eggshells. Not the trustees, okay, but everybody else is walking on eggshells. And they brought up, like, for instance, Fritz's Bar changing the regulations. Wait until the end of April. They brought up something else, wait until the end of April. So in other words, if they get back in, does April then everything change? That's the way I felt. That's exactly what they were saying.
I can answer a part about the trustee stuff too. Dave and John are absolutely right, but some of the questions I ask are because of my experience, and I ask the question and then the debate starts. Kathy can vouch for that. When I ask the question, Mike can, the debate starts because I know what question to ask because it's not in my information. And he rolls his eyes and goes like this to me, and he's on tape doing it. I mean, that's disrespectful to a trustee. I would never do that to a trustee who asked me a question I didn't agree with. You treat him with respect. But I know how to ask the questions and what questions to do because I have the experience to do it. But the other thing too is I've always been transparent with every trustee that I had, even the ones that were against me on certain issues. I give them all the information because their job is to make the informed vote. That's their job.
I agree, that's why he's so vital on the board, because he can keep an eye on things and experience in the questions, he knows how to ask them and make sure that things don't get out of hand. Because when you do bring up, even if you bring up a statement and it is wrong, something good comes out of it. That's what communication is, that's what it's all about. We're all supposed to be on the same team. We all live here, we all want to serve the people, that's public serving. So I mean, I think that's great what he's doing, and I agree.
I've been coming to the meetings for roughly the past year myself. I've missed a few here or there, and I completely agree with Kathy. Everything that is said that comes out of Mayor Borgo's mouth, you look over at the administrator like, did I do a good job? Did I make you proud? Did I make you happy? And that can't be. That cannot be for this village.
So you guys think if you were mayor, you guys can work with the trustees and
Yes,
move forward on everything?
I think we need to make some changes in the administration.
Done it in the past, can do it again.
Another question here?
Okay, this question's for Mike and Donald. A lot of people in town are upset with the salaries of the administrators.
Including myself.
Okay, and if you cut them, were you planning on cutting the 2 of them?
No, what I would suggest to do, just like I said about a clean slate, is to not renew the contract for the administrator and evaluate and analyze the budget and administration to figure out, can we take 2 jobs and make 1? Can we reduce salaries? We still need a village manager or administrator. You can't go without it. So.
But doesn't Gibson's contract end when the new mayor starts?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I would not, if I were elected, I would not renew her contract.
So she'd be gone?
She would be gone, my opinion. I think that we need to focus on a clean slate, new management, because I believe that they've failed.
But how would you run the town without her if you've no experience?
We would have to replace her. Even
Okay.
Jamie would have to have another administrator. You can't run the village because it's a part-time job being mayor. So there's no way that you can just run everything. You need a degree to be.
But if you hired a new one, would she get the outrageous salary?
Absolutely not. And then also, I think I've even talked with other people before about what can we cut, what can we combine, the development manager and the safety guy. I mean, we can try to take two jobs and make them into 1. So right away, we should be able to save.
Who's the safety guy? Safety guy?
Yeah, the building safety.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay.
There's 2 people making quite a bit of money, and it's just the wrong economic times. We can't just keep nickel and diming the residents to pay for all this stuff.
And rumor is Panky's part-time.
Yeah.
It's not a rumor.
And he gets benefits, full-time benefits?
Yeah.
He gets full-time
job?
I can
I'll
answer
take
this.
that job.
30 salary now, so it's full-time.
I can answer this
Oh, he is
correctly. He
full-time?
makes $68,000 a year, working 30 hours, and he receives full benefits.
Why?
How many homes were
Application.
Yeah.
built last year in Manhattan?
5 or 4?
I don't mean to take this away from
No, I
them.
mean, do you know offhand how many homes were built in Manhattan?
Last year, there were 4 permits. In 2012, I believe, if my memory serves me, and right now we are at
27.
30, not quite 30, so Deemster Bornors.
And it's mostly all builders that are buying them, the cheap lots anyway. So
But that's all he does is inspect new homes? That's it?
No, as a contractor, I built the room addition, he inspected the room addition, he gives permits out for roofing, windows. There's other stuff that goes on in the building department just besides.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was my question.
Signage, I think signage is a big thing that he's got to keep track of the signage, safety, building safety, all that stuff.
You, sir.
Got a question for you.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. All right, yeah.
We'll raise our hands.
I agree with what Mike said. As of, if I'm elected, Marion Gibson's going to be gone. The new administrator, obviously there will be a hiring process. Personally, I want to hire somebody from this town that will work to better this town at a reasonable salary. Every single one of us is hurting in this town.
Right.
Every single person I know, close personal friends, the people I know, acquaintances, they're struggling in this economy. The only people that aren't struggling is the village administrator.
And Borgo.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I can answer that question. I would cut 2 positions, and I can combine 2 positions, and one would take an head administrative role. I wouldn't hire a new administrator, I just move one up into that role, because right now they're going to every meeting with her now. So you go to a board meeting and they'll ask the mayor a question, he'll look at Marion, she looks at the finance director, he answers the question. So that answers your question. I can cut the position, I can cut 2 of them, and I don't have to hire anybody to replace either one of them.
Which 2?
I could cut the building commissioner and the administrator, because we don't have much building going on right now. We did it with part-time building inspectors, or we can go to the county and sign an intergovernmental agreement with them and use their inspectors to inspect our houses. And they actually are tougher on houses than some of our inspectors.
You, sir.
Question is, will you guys approach trustees on your decision of the new administrator and how you're going to run that office? Or are you just going to do it on your own? That's for all 3 of you.
I don't know if I should take it first. I would absolutely consult with the trustees. I wouldn't want to do everything myself.
We're making a business decision.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair.
Sorry, Mike, I didn't
No,
know
go ahead.
that. I thought you were done.
So Jamie, you second.
I would consult the trustees on how to reorganize the department, yes, because they are a big part of it. They have a big vote, they have a big say in it. And all the trustees the mayor isn't God, like he seems to act like. You need to work together to get this done. Everybody has to work together for Manhattan to work.
Well, this is why you have to be careful on what trustees you vote for. Some of these trustees that are running again voted for all of Marion's raises. I was at the meetings, I saw what they voted for. There's one in there that now that's running again.
What
Be
was the-
careful who you vote for.
Well, do you know the trustees offhand that was voting for Marion's raise? Offhand?
I believe it was a split vote, wasn't it, Jamie? And then the mayor just said.
Well, this time it was a split vote. and the mayor-
Jamie?
This
Yeah,
time
this
for
time
her
was a split
bonus.
The
vote.
mayor
it's a split
ultimately
vote.
made the decision.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, but who was the two that was saying yay, and who was saying saying
Lucas
nay?
is the one that was pushing for all of her raises since the beginning she's been in.
A point of order, I just want to clarify, Marion has not taken a raise technically for the last 4 years.
What does technically mean?
She did get a $1,000 bonus this year.
2,000.
Excuse me, you're right, $2,000 bonus this year.
Plus,
So it
when
was
she took the furlough, she got an extra vacation day.
So that was in 2011? In 2011, there were furlough vacation day issues. She's not received technically a salary bump, so there was no additional income other than that straight across the board $2,000 bonus. And that was for the fourth.
145, she don't need one.
Well, I'm not arguing pro or con, I'm just giving you the facts of the numbers. And that was 4 years in a row now she's not taken a raise? Is that right?
Let's get a raise.
Great.
I'm not here to promote pro and con, I'm just telling you, salary raise, we're concerned about salary raises, and that has not happened in the issue of Marion Gibson
So
for
are
4
you saying
years.
that she was offered it, but you said no?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No, she
What
wasn't
happened?
Okay,
told
so she
no.
wasn't offered.
What happened last year, she came in and said that she didn't want to ask for a raise, because she already knew that she wasn't going to get a raise. Okay? So she came in and she said, if instead of giving her a raise, she'd like to see that money distributed among the people who are at the village hall right now. The finance director, the village administrator, the engineer, she wanted them to get raises. So, and then this year, she was voted on, they gave her a $2,000 bonus.
The three of us as trustees voted no.
Which three?
Yeah, Jamie, the contract for the village administrator, is that a yearly, or is that, how many years is that contract?
4 years.
Is
It
it
runs
4
with,
year?
runs with the mayor's term.
It runs for the mayor's term?
Correct.
Now, do they go out for do they go out for competitive bids on that, even though the mayor is re-elected, or does he just say, hey, I want her back again?
No, it's his appointment.
It's his appointment?
But we can vote, here's the thing, we can vote no on the contract,
Yeah.
but then he has the power to appoint her month to month to month to month to month to month until his term's over.
Well, this is what I'm getting at.
So she would still be there.
Because when I go to some of the board meetings, and I'll tell you, the turnout here is about 5 times what you see at a board meeting. When you go to the board meeting,
More
it's
than
always-
5.
It's always a split vote. And it's always ultimately the mayor's decision that says yea or nay, and the majority of the time it goes yea.
Well, not always. I mean, this time he definitely did.
Oh, yeah, always it's yes. He's always yes.
Yeah. Oh, he's always yes.
Yeah, you can say what you want, but that's pretty much it.
It used to be, before the last election, it was 4-2 all the time.
Yeah.
Now it's 3-3, and he actually has to break the tie. So this time, when we voted on the budget this time, he was mad because he had to vote. He wanted to go through this election saying he didn't vote on the budget. Well, that's not what happened. He had to vote on the budget.
But you know, you've lived here a long time, and there's a lot of people here that are on Social Security, they didn't get a $2,000 raise.
That's what I keep trying to tell them. There's people on fixed
Matter of
incomes.
fact, if you took my Social Security over 4 years, it wouldn't even come compared to 25% of what you got. So what I'm saying is my taxes, I'm paying taxes out of my Social Security to the village.
Correct.
There's a lot
My
of people
wife
not on
did the same
Social
thing.
Security who didn't get a $2,000 raise.
There's a lot of people that got pay cuts, their spouse lost their job,
Right.
or, you know, they're struggling to make it, and they didn't get a raise, or they got froze. And some of them been froze for 4
30 hours
years.
and get full benefits and make that kind of money.
How come Barb Doherty was told she had to go because she wouldn't get benefits? She was part-time, but he could get, what? How does he get full-time benefits for 30 hours?
I can answer that question. Barb Doherty got basically forced out the door. And the reason why is when I got elected back onto the board, I was asking questions they didn't want asked. Because I ended up stopping some things. They had to go back and regroup. We started to change some of his people's minds. They tabled it to the next meeting so he could call them and get the vote back in line. And they thought there was a leak in the office. They went after every girl in that office to fire them because they thought they were telling me stuff. It wasn't because they were telling me. It's because I knew what was going on and I knew what questions to ask. None of those girls gave me that information, but they thought they did and tried to get rid of them. And then they eventually forced Barb to the sewer plant, and they forced her out the door.
But when she was part-time, she couldn't get her insurance.
Correct, they wouldn't give it to her.
So why does he get insurance?
We can't,
Because 30 hours or more legally, I do the same in my business too, because we do control our labor.
But he was supposed to be working on a different way, wasn't he?
Is there a way to have some more mayor questions instead of some of this little stuff that's going on?
well, what it was is he's on salary, so basically, his 30 hours should have been 40 hours for that, his salary was cut. So he should have been working 40 hours a week.
I like where we're going with it with that guy. You got questions?
Yeah, Jamie, I'm going to probably ask you this, because I don't know if Mike or Don knows this, but you spoke about home rule.